Recorded from a doorbell camera in Sunrise, Florida, 3 lights float as more or less an equilateral triangle before separating. What is assumed to be the same event by a different witness was also captured.
You cannot tell me.
By speeding the footage up, the synced and fluid motion between the objects becomes even more apparent. It almost looks as if they are attached together in some way. They make an almost perfect rotation as one. This illustration helps us to comprehend the physics-breaking movements of the UFOs documented by the DoD.
At 13,000 miles an hour and change directions instantly. We fly the SR-71 at 3,200 miles an hour. If you wanted to take a right-hand turn, it would take you roughly half the state of Ohio to do it. And yet what we're seeing are objects that can do 90-degree turns instantly.
The amount of G's exerted after a turn like this would instantly destroy any occupants 10 times over, along with vaporizing the craft.
And we're not talking about speeds of 3,200 miles an hour. They've been clocked at over 13,000.
The U.S. military-certified UFO was released at the Senate hearings earlier this year. They don't know what the object is or what it could be.
Top of the screen, there it goes, and then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago.
U.S. intelligence states that over 50% of UFO witness reports from aviation employees are of the metallic orb class. Next, I have added a handful of sightings that struck me as similar. Here you can see UFOs pulsing with light and then fading into the darkness.
Love, it's moving so fast.
Yeah. Like, there's no way I can explain that.
That's the UFO.
It kind of looks like a hospital heart rate monitor in the sky.
That's a UFO.
5 pulses were recorded before the video. Video of what looks to be a triangle UFO sitting stationary over a rural area in Ontario, Canada.
It's just hovering in place. What is that? Look at the lights all around it.
I made sure to stabilize the footage so we can get a better look at the activity going on in the center of the craft. The footage is around 10 years old, so before the use of drones really took off. The uploader's description states, "Don't got much to say about this video other than when my dad originally sent it to me. I felt like it had to be a UFO, and there's nothing else that seems to explain it." Canada is notorious for sightings, and I myself have seen a few. This was taken way before drones were being used regularly, and I'd say the video is easily 10 years old. Pulled from a U.S. news channel, footage of an object instantly accelerating over the city of Boston. Dismissed by some to be a camera glitch that caused the stream to freeze. The explanation was quickly debunked by the uploader, who shows us here that the rest of the world is still in motion whilst the UFO is paused. Deep-sea drone operator Chase Bentley, with over 5,000 hours experience in the field, captures footage of what he can only describe as a USO. Chase was interviewed about the sighting, where he was quizzed on what makes this footage out of the ordinary.
Why is it significant that something, mechanical would be down that deep?
It seems like it'd be easy to put a drone or something 5,600 feet underwater until you really understand what's behind doing something like that. And to have something moving down there under its own power, the battery power would be immense. Also, this was tetherless. Without a tether, it would have no human control.
The look, shape, and movement of the object is enough to rule out any sea life. Its speed also rules out any junk/inanimate object that may be drifting around down there.
How do we know this is not organic? This isn't a fish or something like that?
Well, the video footage, albeit not the clearest, it's pretty clear to see that it's not a fish. We spend thousands and thousands of hours looking underwater and around these areas. We know what the fish look like, and this pretty clearly isn't fish. Lots of people that have seen the video have 30, 40 years in the industry, and they're saying, well, it's not a fish, but I don't know what it is. It's really out of the bounds of what I think we have technology of making right now. If somebody gave me a $10 million budget and said, make this thing, I don't think it's possible.
Chase goes on to talk about the encounters other experts working in the industry have had with USOs.
The book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the colour of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the colour of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces. And their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whither the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright. And out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the colour of a beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the colour of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two which covered on this side, and every one had two which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw as the colour of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake.